deep within the heart of the Omenka Jungle, where the towering trees stood like ancient sentinels and the rivers sang songs of secrets unknown. A tale of power, pride, and betrayal unfolded. For centuries, the jungle had been ruled by one creature, whose reign was undisputed. King Cobra. He was not just a serpent, but a legend. A ruler whose name alone sent shivers through the bravest beasts and kept the jungle in order through sheer fear. His venom was as deadly as his cunning, and his rule was marked by dominance, but also by the growing whispers of rebellion. This story begins at a turning point. A moment when the jungle began to question the rule of its mighty, and when the predators and prey alike sensed that change was inevitable. The rise of King Cobra. Long ago, before he was called king, he was simply known as Nabatu, a young serpent born in the dark corners of the jungle. Nabatu had survived in an environment where death lurked at every turn. He was small and vulnerable, but possessed an unusual gift. His venom was more potent than any cobra before him. By the time he reached his prime, Nabatu had already carved a reputation for himself. He dethroned the reigning serpent lord, Kanu the Great Python, in a battle that shook the jungle. With his quick reflexes and lethal strike, Nabatu sank his fangs into Kanu's thick hide, injecting venom so powerful it brought the mighty python crashing to the jungle floor. The jungle erupted in awe, and from that moment on, Nabatu became known as King Cobra. Under his rule, the jungle was governed by a strict hierarchy. The predators were to respect the balance of power, and the prey were to obey without question. Those who defied him met their end swiftly, as the bite of King Cobra was more than enough to silence even the boldest dissenters. But power breeds enemies. The signs of change. As the years passed, whispers of discontent grew among the creatures of the jungle. King Cobra had ruled for decades, and while his reign brought order, it was a reign of terror. The smaller creatures resented living under constant fear, while the larger predators questioned why they allowed a single serpent to dominate them. The leopard, Xena, often gazed at the canopy above, imagining a day when the jungle would be free from King Cobra's tyranny. The monkeys, led by the cunning Nokai, swung through the treetops, spreading rumors of rebellion. Even the mighty elephant, Macondo, though neutral by nature, began to question if the jungle would be better off without a single ruler. But the most dangerous threat to King Cobra came not from the animals, but from within his own kind. A younger, stronger cobra named Zalumo had been observing from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. Zalumo was ambitious, and unlike King Cobra, he had no interest in ruling through fear alone. He sought to become a symbol of change, a leader who could unify the jungle. The Jungle Council. On the eve of the first full moon of the dry season, a secret meeting was held deep in the jungle. Representatives of the various species gathered in a secluded clearing, their voices hushed but urgent. "We cannot continue to live like this," Nokai the monkey said, his voice high-pitched but firm. King Cobra grows older, yet his venom remains just as deadly. He will not step down willingly. Xena, the leopard, growled softly. "Do you propose we challenge him?" The last creature who tried lies buried beneath the roots of the great baobab tree. Macondo, the elephant, raised his trunk thoughtfully. It is true that Cobra's rule has kept the jungle in order, but order born of fear is no order at all. If we do not act now, our young will grow up knowing only terror. The council debated late into the night, and it was finally Zalumo, the younger Cobra, who stepped forward. "I will challenge him," Zalumo declared, his voice calm but resolute. "I am the only one who can match his venom, his speed, and his cunning. But I will not rule as he does. If I win, I will rule with wisdom and respect for the balance of life in the jungle." The council agreed, though reluctantly. They knew the risk. If Zalumo failed, the wrath of King Cobra would be unimaginable. The duo. Word of the challenge spread quickly, carried by the winds and the calls of the jungle birds. By sunrise, every creature in Omenka knew that a duel was to take place, a battle to decide the fate of the jungle. The chosen battleground was the Circle of Ancients, a sacred clearing surrounded by massive stone pillars, each engraved with the stories of the jungle's past. It was said that every great leader had faced their defining moment here, and now it was King Cobra's turn. King Cobra arrived first, his massive form gliding through the tall grass. His scales shimmered in the morning light, a mix of gold and black that seemed almost regal. He coiled in the center of the circle, his hood flared wide, and his piercing eyes scanning the crowd. Zalumo slithered in moments later, smaller, but no less intimidating. His movements were smooth and deliberate, and his gaze met King Cobra's without fear. "You dare challenge me?" King Cobra hissed, his voice low and venomous. "You, who were born in the shadows I rule over?" "I dare," Zalumo replied, his voice steady. "Because your time has passed, old king. The jungle no longer needs fear, it needs hope." The tension in the air was palpable as the duel began. The struggle. The two cobras circled each other, their bodies coiled and ready to strike. King Cobra was the first to move, his massive body lashing out with lightning speed. But Zalumo anticipated the attack, dodging with precision and countering with a strike of his own. The battle was fierce and relentless. Each serpent tested the other's limits, their venomous fangs flashing in the light. The creatures of the jungle watched in silence, their eyes wide with fear and awe. King Cobra was stronger, but Zalumo was faster. The younger serpent used his agility to his advantage, darting in and out of King Cobra's range, landing strikes that began to wear the older snake down. But King Cobra was cunning. He feigned weakness, allowing Zalumo to grow overconfident. In a sudden, unexpected move, King Cobra lunged, his fangs sinking into Zalumo's side. A collective gasp echoed through the jungle. Zalumo writhed in pain, but he did not fall. Summoning all his strength, he struck back, his fangs finding their mark in King Cobra's neck. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Both serpents coiled and uncoiled, their bodies twisting in a deadly dance. Then, with a final, agonized hiss, King Cobra collapsed. The fall of the king. The jungle erupted in chaos as the realization sank in. King Cobra was defeated. Zalumo, though injured, had emerged victorious. The creatures of the jungle gathered around the fallen king. Their fear replaced by a strange mix of respect and relief. Even in defeat, King Cobra was a figure of awe. As he lay dying, King Cobra turned his gaze to Zalumo. "You have won, young one," he rasped, his voice weak but steady. "But remember this, power is a burden, not a prize. Rule wisely, for the jungle is unforgiving." With those final words, King Cobra breathed his last, and the jungle fell silent. A new era. Zalumo, though victorious, did not bask in his glory. He turned to the gathered creatures and spoke, his voice firm but humble. "I am not your king," he said. "I am your servant. Together, we will build a jungle where all creatures, great and small, can thrive. The reign of fear is over. Let this be the dawn of a new era." The jungle erupted in cheers, and for the first time in generations, hope filled the air. But Zalumo knew that his journey was only beginning. The jungle was vast and wild, and its balance was delicate. He had won the battle, but the true challenge was yet to come. As the sun set over the Omenka Jungle, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, the creatures of the jungle began to rebuild. And though the reign of King Cobra had ended, his story would live on. A cautionary tale of power, pride, and the ever-turning wheel of fate.